What is up, guys? Fado82 coming at you with some Rust gameplay. A new dawn has risen on the US Rustopia server. The map has been freshly wiped, and now's the time to get in on the action. Alliances are being formed, enemies are being made, and bodies are starting to pile up on the landscape. Raids are taking place. We have here a team of raiders who are dressed in hide armor with firearms who are attempting to raid a small stone base which houses Chips and his band of naked men. These raiders are very confident that they'll be able to get in and get the best of the men inside. They're chipping away at the stone wall with rudimentary tools at this point. There is no C4 to be found on the server at this time. Chips and his men are inside, ready for what's to come, as the raiders continue to chip away at the stone wall.
Here in Rustopia, we've got that castle doctrine. If you come into our base uninvited, I have full legal rights to pop a cap in your fat ass. This is your one and only one.
And the raiders are circling the house. They have all points covered, and they're confident that they're going to get the best of Chips and his men. Chips is armed with a revolver. His men are armed with rudimentary weapons such as bows and arrows and spears. While the raiders outside are armed with firearms and are dressed in hide armor.
Are you ready to meet your maker?
While the raiders continue to chip away at the stone wall, Chips and his men are outfitting themselves with whatever scraps of armor they have and securing whatever weapons are available. The raiders continue to make progress breaking through that stone wall.
Wall is one hit closer to you guys dying.
You'll notice here, guys, that one of Chips' men lit a campfire. This is a defensive measure, as the campfire will damage the raiders if they try to rush in. The raiders are going to be blocked by those two furnaces, but the campfire is going to help to keep the raiders at bay. These naked men, guys, are using whatever they have to their advantage to protect against and to mitigate against these raiders who are somewhat better armed. And they've broken through the wall. A fight is now on our hands. The raiders outside are raining fire into the base, tearing through Chips and his men. They're no match for these raiders at this time. Bodies are just dropping inside, guys. AK-47 fire is going off outside. These raiders are very confident that they have overtaken this base. One of the raiders outside is fallen, while Chips and his men continue to make a valiant effort from the inside of the base to defend against these raiders. They're helping their teammates get back up on their feet. They're using the building cupboard to their advantage to hide behind, and they're really doing a fantastic job. And we can see that the raiders are not getting into the base because of the furnaces. The furnaces are keeping them at bay at this time. Bullet holes litter the inside of the base, which shows the carnage that's going on inside the base. Chips and his men are continuing to get back on their feet. They're continuing to fight a good fight. One of Chips' men has made it around the base. He is attempting to fend off the raiders with just a rock. Not surprisingly, he was taken out, but that was a noble attempt on his behalf to try to fend off the raiders. And another one of Chips' men is coming around armed with only a torch. He's taken out one of the raiders with a torch. And he's continuing to fight right down to the last torch. Chips and his men continue to use the furnaces for cover. They're raining arrows back at the raiders. And guys, Chips and his men have defeated the raiders. These raiders who were confident that they were going to get into this base and get the supplies from these men who seemed to be outnumbered have now lost to Chips and his band of naked men. Chips is continuing to look for remaining raid members. He's continuing to pick off any stragglers, and he is taking the armor from these men, and he is gearing up. He now has a bolt-action rifle. Chips and his men are reaping the rewards of this battle that was well fought. Chips takes out the remaining raid member who was alive. He's now putting on that raid member's clothing and armor. And Chips and his men, guys, will continue to live and fight and survive in another day of Rust on the US Rustopia server. Guys, this is just a brief slice of life of what goes on US Rustopia. Now's the time to get into the mix. The server's been freshly wiped. Come on over and have a good time on US Rustopia. It's quite a good time. This is Fado82. Peace.